Hello, divine, beautiful souls. This is Energy Speaks Podcast with your host, Catriel. So, this is my last day in Jerusalem before I take off to Europe and experience, a different culture, a different, completely different area of the world. And so I'll be heading to London, Dublin, and then to London, and then back to Dublin. And then I'm heading to the States, where I'll go to Boston and with a little bit of a layover. And then, of course, back to my hometown, Clearwater, St. Pete area. And what's really, really interesting is, I really want to touch base upon what's going on in the astrals, okay? In the ethers. Specifically through the lens of the zodiacs. So my insights that have been going on, like, in the last 48 hours, essentially, I've noticed a lot of shifts and changes. So, we just, from a Western astrology perspective, we have now entered the month, or period of time that's associated with Leo energy. Leo is all about the one, the singularity. When you feel into Leo energy, you can feel the heart energy, the love. And it's also very expressive, very creative. It's a very creative time. And a lot of times, another theme that comes up is leadership, as, taking responsibility to step up. So that singular type of energy, the king-like energy. And we look, especially looking here in regards to Jerusalem, we can feel that deeply rooted within Jerusalem. Leo is associated with lion energy. And there are Jerusalem lions all over. At one point in time in Jerusalem, in Israel, we actually had a lion problem. And this was around the time of the Maccabees. And when Greek culture was mixing with Israeli culture, essentially. And then we get the story of Hanukkah. But anyways, a little bit of history there for you. So yes, we have the Leo energy. And Leo energy, that lion is all about, kind of really seeing your own value. And being able to own it and express it and stand up and take the lead, essentially. So that's what's going on through the lens of Western astrology, specifically with the energies associated with the sun. Now, I just want to jump into what's going on in the earth. So, when the sun is radiating, it's always going to be 180 degrees. Okay, so we look at a circle 360. Half of that, directly across the board, is what we see the energy associated with the Earth. So the sun and the earth are friends, essentially, okay? They're like divine complements. And a lot of times when we ask for someone's astrological information, like their birth chart information, we don't often talk about this part. And it's bothered me for quite some time. And I'm in the middle of writing a book on it. So why is this significant? I want to, and this is kind of funny because of the specific placement that the Earth is in, I want you to kind of take a moment and look at things from a new perspective, a different perspective, a perspective like if you flipped things upside down. Now, right now, the Earth is in Aquarius. Aquarius is all about the community energy. So you have the singularity energy with Leo, but the Aquarius energy is all about, the one as a whole rather than in the singular. And it's kind of an interesting perspective. Aquarius energy is innovative, a little bit unique, does not fit inside of a box. It will rebel against that box. It's the higher octave of Saturn. Saturn's two zodiac energies is Capricorn and Aquarius, okay? They're right next to each other in the zodiac in the model of, the yearly cycle. But they're very different. One is very restrictive and more associated with that box energy, which is the Capricorn. It likes things very, like definitive, like it's there, it's practical, it's tangible, right? It's an earth sign. Well, the Aquarius energy is quite the opposite of that. It is in the air. It's an air sign. It's like that aha moment. It's these unique ideas that allow for the world to be innovated. And I do say the world specifically because we are talking about leaps and bounds with communities. So like Aquarius, or even the house of Aquarius, its leadership is in regards to communities and friendships. Okay? So like what's really interesting is, you can't always control everything, right? You kind of have, especially in regards to like your intuitive gifts. They come or they don't, right? You can work on them, but essentially how they flow through you is a different story. It's because it's from a higher world. So what I've been noticing in the last few years, I really started to get into astrology and the different zodiac energies. I've always felt connected to them, but I really started to go deep in 2017. 2018, I really started putting the pieces together, okay? In 2019, I had put so many different experiments and connecting with the zodiac energies in a different way in 2018, doing my own little experiments and whatnot, and observations, that when it came down to 2019, I was ready to share that information with the world and expand my journey with the zodiac energies and how each zodiac energy is unique, and we have all of them. they just show up in different ways within us, right? And so with this, I've been really doing some deep dives with connecting to this energy. And, you know, when you set an intention, things come through. You know, Hashem, Spirit, Source energy flows through you, and you see things in a different way. Now, I feel like in 2018, when I was going through soul school, I was, you know, really learning things from a soul perspective. You know, like the glasses, like if I were to put yellow glasses on associated with like the solar plexus, like that's what that year was all about. 2019, it was all about Earth School, really grounding in my all of this information and like solidifying it within my being and sharing that with others, grounding it in. And then like prior to that, it was all about like, ooh, it's kind of this like airiness energy of like excitement and figuring out like, what do I want to learn and all of these different things. It's like you can't go deep at that point. You think you might be going deep, but you haven't hit it yet. Okay? You're always pulling back the layers, right? So then 2020 comes around, and it's like all of that Earth School I went through in 2018 now is another layer. And so I started to feel the zodiac energies in a different way. I started to also connect with other people, you know, and feeling out the different energies and actually going into the different energies that are, like the zodiac energies that are associated with empath skills. And so I got a lot out of that and started teaching what these different empath skills are based off of the zodiac energies and how we may actually have unique empath skills based off of this. And so like in where we shine, you know what I mean? And so then 2021, another layer comes through. And I felt like as I would be going through this cycle of the year, I was experiencing it from like maybe the sun perspective. That when I would get to each zodiac season, I would really feel like this energy that's associated with shining through the sun. So like when Leo would come about, I would feel into what, I would know exactly when Leo was coming in because I could feel that energy. And like 2020, I feel like that was more associated with the moon. This is very interesting. I'm actually speaking all of this out and I'm like processing all of this. And I think sometimes it's like really important for us to like speak things out to process them. And I get to share them with all of you here, listening, you know? So I really appreciate you holding this sacred space, you know, for me to even speak things out to myself. And I hope that it also helps, you know, you on your journey as I hold the sacred space for you. That's what life is about, really, is holding space for each other. Now, then 2022 comes around, and I've experienced this year very differently. Instead of like feeling the sun energy, like as it's dominant is a part of my world, I've actually been feeling into the earth. So every single time that we shift into a new zodiac energy, whether that's from the perspective of the Western calendar or the Hebrew calendar, I can actually feel the subtleties that are associated with the integration of multiple calendars. which is absolutely unique and really cool. So now as we enter Leo season, I'm actually experiencing the Aquarius energy really dominantly. Like, it's really cool. And so I really want to to encourage you guys that have fun with what you're studying. Have fun with what you're learning and feeling. You can make a game out of it. And when your higher self gives you the codes to the game and you start to catch on and you're like, whoa, that's what I'm learning. It's a completely different lesson. It's a completely different layer of the lesson that we often can miss or not recognize. So there's always depth to things. Now, what's going on with this earth energy? First of all, how are you experiencing the zodiac energies? Can you feel them? Can you distinguish one from another? If this sounds like something that appeals to you, all you have to do is work that muscle. And of course, if anytime you would like to go deeper in that and learn how to go deeper, reach out. Reach out to me. This is something that I love to do. And we can experiment with these different energies in a different way. The sessions that I cultivate with others are very unique for each individual and quite expansive. And so part of why I'm here, my tikkun, my soul mission, is to be able to look at things from a unique perspective and share that with others. For me, it doesn't cut it to just sit in a classroom always. And it's been weird because I've been doing that for the last 6 to 7 months, which is really funny. But when I teach, I like to help people experience this knowledge and integrate it into some wisdom. Really connect to where that's coming from your soul. So, right now, what's going on in the earth, I'm being able to experience this energy. If I had to describe to you what today felt like or is still feeling like, it feels very airy, not like Aries, airy, the element of air. I feel like my body, my being, my mind is very stimulated, has lots of ideas, but also is kind of up in the air. And it's been very interesting for me to feel grounded. And so this is something that we can look at, right? Okay, even though our earth is in Aquarius, I'm being called to not figure out, but feel into what it means to have this connection of Aquarius energy and allowing it to ground me. That's a challenge, right? This is the game I've created for myself, essentially, which is fun. I've been hanging out with more friends, connections, with one another. And I've also been feeling this large energy of innovation, something is going to shake up, not in just my world, but in the world of us all as a one, but for a collective positive move in this universe. And again, as I say this, we are now in this energy of the age of Aquarius, which, when it's kind of like this, right? So if you had another planet that was in Aquarius, or you have a larger energy, what it does is it pings that. So yes, the Earth is in Aquarius. Also, actually, I can tell you, this is the fun part, right? So what's going on in Aquarius? Saturn. So right now, also Saturn is being pinged. So we have this relationship between the Earth and Saturn right now, and then this age that we're walking into, right? Of the age of Aquarius for this large innovation. And part of this energy for Aquarius is literally, where do I belong? Okay? This I belong energy, a lot of times we figure out where we don't belong before we figure out where we do belong. And that's our job right there, to be this isn't resonating with me. I don't feel like I'm a part of this group, And then you try out other groups and you're like, oh man, these are my friends. These are the friends that I feel so connected to. It's soul deep, you know what I mean? And a lot of times we have to go through this in order to figure things out. And that's okay. Also, another cool, unique, perspective in regards to the Aquarian energy is laughing. Do some more laughing during this month. Why do I say this? Because first of all, the body doesn't distinguish whether something's whether laughing is like a real laugh or a fake laugh. It's just a laugh. It's a chemical process that goes on in the body. So if I sat here and I laughed, just because, it may sound fake to y'all, but my body would actually interpret this information as a particular chemical process that would be no different than if I really found something funny and started to laugh. It's quite fascinating. Now, if once we go through this chemical process in our body, it actually shifts us from one frequency to another. It allows us to experience something in a higher frequency, a positive higher frequency, because it's this energy that is it's like this Chokmah energy. Chokmah is associated in the tree of life of wisdom, right? And it at this point of where it is on the map, Binah is this energy that distinguishes one thing from another. Chokmah is it's all. It's this beautiful information that hasn't even received a distinguishing factor of good and bad. It just is. And that's kind of this idea of laughing. And why do I draw this comparison with the age of Aquarius is because we're all ascending for something higher, something that connects us all together. This energy that is a collective energy. And when we all become on the same page, we're activating something together. It's important, yes, to keep the individuality, which is that Leo energy, but we can be individuals together as one unit. And I feel especially when we walk through, the dark times that we have now encountered in this particular lifetime with the COVID energy. One thing we did do is we were all experiencing it together. There was a point where we all were there for one another. It was kind of like the same idea that happened in America when we had September 11th. We all came together as one. That energy, like what we like need to realize is we don't have to have a tragedy in order for us to come together as one. We can actually just come together as one. But it is 100% a interpretation of the Aquarius energy of having something that is not align with you. So these different types of darker energies, essentially what happens is these energies re-alchemize and shake up to allow for this beautiful so a negative energy brings about a positive energy and allows the two to come together as one neutral energy. From a scientific perspective, that's literally it. And so what's interesting is also the Aquarius energy is very much so a scientific type of energy. The school of thought of in science where you observe something, that energy is also present during this time. So if you think about a scientist up in the air in his head, also observing everything that's around him, and having some sort of detachment from the outcomes of what's going on, which is another huge piece of Aquarius energy, is this detached energy. That there's a neutral space within yourself. So maybe something's going on in your life that you would like to shift and change it. Essentially, the quickest way to do that is to find yourself in a neutral space. Because at that point, you're allowing that energy to be detached from it so that the universe can take care of the rest and transform that situation. I encourage you guys that when you're out and about, that maybe look at things from a different perspective. What does that Aquarius energy translate for you? I can only give you my interpretation because I'm me. And maybe you guys have different interpretations, which is totally okay. We may all be humans, but this is where the individuality comes in, right? That Leo, right? Is that we were all made uniquely different. And now the time is for us to express it. So, I really look forward to sharing these insights with you all. And remember the word insight. Insight is insight. Literally, visually in sight. I love looking at little things like that. It's so much fun. So, I love you all, divine, beautiful souls, and that is the message for this week's Energy Speaks podcast. Over and out. Shalom.